Interviews with business owners and veteran executives who share their wisdom and expertise to help you de-stress, free up time, and make more money. Profits of IT. Welcome back to the Profits of IT. I am Jim Punzenberger, your host and the creator of the Managed Prospecting System. If you're looking to generate new clients or partners without cold calling, ad spend, or spamming, check out managedprospectingsystem.com. Super excited today. I have Tim with me. Tim is the CEO of Trova. Trova is a nationwide IT staffing firm. Tim has literally placed thousands of IT people in companies nationwide, companies large and small. He is a treasure trove of knowledge when it comes to IT staffing. Tim, please say hi and introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, thanks, Jim. As you said, my name is Tim Lesnick, and happy to be here and talk about IT and a lot of what's going on in the market and what I've seen over my 20 years or so in this industry and in business in general.
So Tim, what's something interesting about yourself outside of work?
Well, I'm a little bit of a video game geek. I won a video game contest when I was a kid, and then again in college. And I was a hero in college at the time because this was, 1996 or 97. And I won, and my date might be off, could have been 98. But I won a Sega Dreamcast. I won a Sega Dreamcast right before it was released with a bunch of games. And then it became like the huge hit of all my friends where we had a whole bunch of games and the brand new Dreamcast. So I was probably like one of the first Sega Dreamcast owners ever because I won it in a contest. It was kind of a fun thing. And
Never had one of those myself. I was
yeah.
I had the Sega Genesis, the Sega CD, but never the Dreamcast.
Yeah, it was short-lived, right? And so now I'm a collector. I got two young boys at home, and they're 4 and 2, and so if they're gamers or not, but I have a pretty wide collection with like 15 systems and 1,000 different games. I'm more of a collector because I don't really have much time to play, but if I do get a chance, I still try to dabble, but I'm not locking myself in the house to play video games this stage of my life.
Oh, cool. That's sounds like a fun part of your life.
Cool hobby anyway, right? Distraction.
So, Tim, what would you say is your superpower when it comes to business, or what do you contribute your success to, and how can others learn from that themselves to be more successful?
Yeah, the best way for me to summarize it is in 2 quotes from Tony Robbins that I absolutely love and I steal and use, but he probably stole it. Most statistics are made up and most quotes are stolen, right? So, he says the quality of your life is relationally, is totally proportionately or in relation to the quality of the relationships you have, right? And if you want better relationships, ask better questions, right? So in a word, the tribute, that the whole thing that I think the success of my business and my success is based on the relationships that I've built. And I only have come to this realization just in the last couple of years because as a headhunter, and a recruiter and someone that manages customers and helps them hiring, there's 3 really different types of terms that are associated with someone like me does. Every single conversation you're on, whether it's a resume that comes through your door, someone that needs a job for help, a customer trying to hire, or a prospect, or even a vendor or someone you're trying to partner with in some sort of capacity, there's a lot of different facets. Every single one of those things is dependent upon, its success is dependent upon the relationship built, in my opinion, right? You may do a little bit of work with very minimal relationship, but it doesn't usually last, right? And so the culmination of 20 years of just doing that, keeping in touch with people, being genuinely interested and curious in others, their successes, their goals in life, and in their career, has turned itself between me and my three other partners to where, using just a tool like LinkedIn or social media, between the three of us, the four of us, we have over 50,000 first level connections on LinkedIn. And I can tell you, we literally know a lot of them, or created what I call, used to be the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, where you name a movie and you try to find what movie Kevin Bacon is in, and you can use 6 actors or so to get there.
Yep.
It's really that's the first, second, and third degree of LinkedIn. I'm never unlocking profiles because, the whole thing is open, in that it's probably only 3 degrees away from almost anybody, which is pretty cool thing. So I'm not trying to talk about software necessarily, other than that the breadth and depth of the relationships that were built has been it. And the only thing I'd add to that is, I think it takes years to build that, and years to build credibility, and seconds to ruin it. And so, I like to throw in integrity and, transparency into the modus operandi of cultivating relationships.
So if I was a newer newer business owner, and I don't necessarily have the 20 years of, I haven't been in the industry for 20 years building relationships. Do you have any tips for me on how to go about building relationships within the industry, or with I guess, identifying people that would be good to have a relationship with?
Yeah, I think, some of this is borrowed from, maybe, like I said, everything else is from the kind of the Tim Ferriss model to a degree. His 4-hour work week, mentality, which is focus on what you do best and outsource everything else. It's kind of literally the premise of that book to a degree. And, that I think is really important for a business owner, or for anyone at any stage of their career. If you can hone in on what your strengths are and what you're really good at, it's one thing. I love using this example. You take someone that's maybe the best roofer, right? And they're really good at roofing, and they see what the owner makes and does, and say, hey, I want to be the owner someday and own my own roofing company. It's the entrepreneurial spirit, right? Once you get really good at something, like, well, why don't I go just do this myself, right?
Yep.
Well, once you transition into that role, your job function is completely changed. So do you even really know what you're taking on? So being clear and taking some good personal inventory of where your strengths and weaknesses are will help. I know I'm not exactly answering your question, but I just thought that was a good preface. And so in your network and in your sphere of influence, which is to think about the people that are closest to you, the people you spend time with, they have a big influence on you and what knowledge base you have, right? The books you read, the stuff you research gets you to a certain degree, but I still believe that through human connection and through others is how we really achieve things. And so once you go a couple layers deep, you may have exhausted. You're like, I don't really have someone in my network that's this. So I recommend for business owners that need to do that is to get into some sort of formalized networking activity. Not just like the Chamber of Commerce. I had a tremendous success through a company called BNI that forces you to meet with other business leaders in town and cultivate relationships every single week. I thought that was a very successful tool for me because it helped expand my network. Literally, it's come to the point where anyone can come to me and say, hey, I'm looking for a good painter. I'm looking for a good marketing person. I'm looking for and I have a guy or a girl that I would recommend that you go talk to. And we like buying things that way, right? Yeah, you don't want to buy necessarily care who sells you a box of nails. But if you're buying anything with any degree of capital investment or with any degree of service, we typically want to buy that through others. And the warmer that relationship is, the more credible and faster business can happen. And I think it's easier to point fingers. It's being like, hey, Jim, you referred me to this guy and he wasn't so great. And so, okay, let's talk about that. Maybe you can get some leverage to make it better, right? As opposed to they just hang up the phone and you're stuck with a hole in the backyard and no pool.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah.
So any other thoughts on this?
Yeah, for me, once that relationship on hiring, for example, in starting a business, your example has exhausted, your immediate network is always the best place to try to find people. But sometimes those closest to you aren't going to be the best employees either, right? So by going out and building a network and getting into some formalized group, even if it's Toastmasters or BNI, or even it is the chamber, good people in other businesses like to help other businesses. And they might be say, hey, this gal that I had working for me a long time, they want something more. They want to get involved with a marketing company. Well, Jim, you have a marketing company. You know, I'm a real estate developer. We don't really need a marketing person for this. You should talk to Judy. So before you know it, your referrals start happening. And, you know, the mentality on this is if you're genuinely involved in the community and helping others be successful with by giving and helping others find what they're looking for, they're ultimately going to feel somewhat indebted to you to help you find what you're looking for. But cultivating that takes time. You don't have it right away. Obviously, the easy answer to this is call someone like me. Having a good headhunter or confidant or business person that focuses on, just no different than having a good accountant to help you decide what to do with certain expenditures, you know, can pay off dividends. So, you know, before opening a business, you should really take, in my opinion, or once you get started, take an inventory of some 6 to 10 critical areas like accounting, legal, human resources, hiring, you know, and then, you know, whatever it is related to your business asset or product, right? If it's a service, then maybe you don't need as much, right? But so doing your research and cultivating relationships there in advance should pay off dividends. And then reaching out and outsourcing when you know you don't have it figured out. That's a great model, I think.
That makes sense. So you mentioned reaching out to you. What type of companies should reach out to you, and why should they reach out to you?
You know, I'd say, well, first of all, I'm happy to talk to anybody that wants to talk to me. If they need hiring advice and they have I once had a client in Cambridge. I had an office by Harvard Square when I first started in this business and up in Boston. And one of my early clients was a one-man shop who was a research like prodigy. He was involved in something with Harvard, super smart guy, didn't want to hire anyone on his team, didn't want to manage them. So, you know, he ended up hiring like 10 people from me that he leveraged to help build this company in a consulting capacity that worked out great. So sometimes small companies can be difficult because they won't necessarily see the advantage. So I would say usually it's mid-cap companies. Super large companies with huge HR teams and massive HR systems with all these hiring protocols don't usually work for me. I like to work one-on-one where a company can make decisions at their desk, just saying, hey, Tim, I really need somebody good for my team and wants to build a good team and can deal with me and make the decision and get my fee paid and my contract signed pretty quickly, because business is moving like this, especially in IT. So a lot of red tape, a lot of hiring, which is another advice too. If you have a lot of red tape in your hiring process, today's world's got no time for it. You're technically getting leftovers and who else is out there, because the market's moving like this. Like key talent has multiple opportunities in a short period of time, much like it's very, very, very analogous to what we're seeing in a lot of key real estate markets. It's like your home's worth more than it ever has been right now in a lot of markets. And you're like, oh, I'd love to sell it, but then you have nowhere to go and you're going to overpay for what you find.
Right.
It's a supply and demand and inflation issue, right? So
Cool. So really, it sounds like mid to smaller companies are a great fit for you guys that are looking to hire IT talent then, or that have needs specifically in for is there any like specific types of IT talent that you focus on?
yeah, thanks for guiding me there, because I can get off on tangents about random things, which you can say I can talk. So it's an odd situation, but to, you know, be a little bit better. Thank you for guiding me there. You know, the reality of it is the best fit are customers that have limited resources to help them with hiring, where the amount of hiring that needs to be done is exhausting their internal capabilities, right? And given those circumstances, it could be as small as a one-person shop, and it could be as large as I have a $50 billion client last year who gave us hundreds of positions, and we were one of 3 firms chosen. So I've worked with some huge companies because they said, look, we just can't get ramped up fast enough in the post-COVID situation when we need a lot of people fast and want to gobble up talent before they're gone. So companies like that already know when to call us. But if you don't know, and you're trying to talk through it, I'm one of those guys that doesn't need you to have all the answers to figure it out. I can creatively create a hiring program, for lack of a better way of putting it, that covers 5 or 6 different options. Anything from, to me, it's really only 2 ways of looking at it. Are they on my payroll and am I managing them and you're borrowing them like a lease? Or are they your employee? And am I getting them for you and just getting the service of bringing a whole bunch of people to the table for you? And you only pay me if you fall in love with one that you want to hire. So in essence, the start of our process is completely free of charge. So the advice is free of charge, because I know once we talk through it, that you're ultimately going to see how much you don't know about hiring when you think you know a lot. Like a lot of people think they know how to write a resume. They think they know how to hire because they too have gotten a job. And it's one of the biggest DIY jobs for any business owner out there. But once folks get further along, they're like, the most selfish way I would put it is this: you're the worst person to hire for yourself. You meaning anyone. Once you've exhausted your internal network, and the reason why is this: I'm even the worst person to hire for me. Once I put out an ad and tell the world what I'm looking for, people become what I'm looking for, but they're not necessarily what I'm looking for. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. So it is totally subjective. Why it's objective on our side is every day, my entire team is interviewing people, the people that hit the market, what they're looking for, and has built network over 20 years. A great example I could give you is a customer, an IT customer of mine, needed some recruiters, right? And the conventional way of trying to find some new recruiters, which is one of the hardest things to find right now, is a really good recruiter on your team. What the conventional way is for us to source all the job boards, all social media, LinkedIn, use a lot of different tools and software programs and databases, right? Once you've exhausted that, usually that comes up with a couple of options for almost any job, as long as your systems are built up well. Well, that produced nothing in this particular client situation when I took on the job. Me and my partner simply put out a note on LinkedIn offering a simple referral fee for anyone that could refer us to a good recruiter that might be looking for a change. And he found someone through a friend we used to work with, and I found an old friend of mine that I had lost touch with over 10 years, and they hired both of them. And they couldn't find them on their own from 2 months of running ads. We couldn't find it doing what they do and then some, but then just found it simply through our network and our breadth of experience. That's the type of thing that companies lack, because you're not always constantly hiring and cultivating that relationship. And when you do hire, you're hiring in a moment of time to whoever applies to your ad, who happens to be available now, who happens to see your ad. It is a very, very finite pool. How do you know you're hiring the best? So see the people that apply to your ad, see your neighbors, see your best friends' referrals, see mine, hire the best.
And if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, what's the best way that they should, best method to contact you?
My email is tlesnick@trovasearch.com. My website is trovasearch.com. It's TROVA search, as in to find something. Trova actually is an Italian word meaning to find. So it's just trovasearch.com. You can see my profile on my 3 other my other partner.
So your website is actually search.
Yeah, find search. Yeah. Well, you know what it is? Trova.com was taken. And so we threw it in there. So it was kind of like most people aren't going to go to the ability of trying to find what Trova actually means.
Yeah.
And so find search.
Well, cool. So look you guys up online at trovasearch.com. Well, Tim, thank you for your time today and sharing your knowledge. It's a pleasure having you on.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Jim.
And until next time on the Profits of IT, I am Jim Punzenberger, your host and the creator of the Managed Prospecting System. Looking to generate new clients or partners without cold calling, ad spend, or spamming, be sure to check out managedprospectingsystem.com. Thank you for tuning in to the Profits of IT. Please smash that like button, subscribe, and share.